Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a woman from Florida makes the journey to the Commonwealth to escape the path of Hurricane Ian. And landlords here in our region struggle to get assistance from groups meant to help them recover after floodwaters damaged or destroyed their properties.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning to you. It is almost 6 o'clock here on this Wednesday morning, the middle of the work week. I'm Dakota Makris. Thank you so much for waking up with us as always. And let's take it over to Brandon for a look at our forecast, and certainly a busy time in the weather department, just right there. We're tracking chilly temps, fog, and then Hurricane Ian.
Exactly. So we've got both images up behind us there, Hurricane Ian, which they're doing hourly updates on right now. Still 140 at 6 o'clock this morning, that update. And again, it's still moving to the northeast at 10 miles per hour. I believe it's about 50 miles or so off of the coast of Naples, Florida. Let's take a look at our current conditions along I-75 here in our region, where Dakota's right. It is chilly out there. 40 degrees in Corbin, London Corbin Airport. I expect that to drop a little bit more here in the next little bit. It's 39 in Hazard, Moorhead 2, 36, Irvin, Clintwood, and Jonesville. Wise back up to 43. They kind of fluctuate a little bit. 39 in Jacksboro now and 37 in Williamsburg. So a lot of cold air out there this morning. Grab your coffee cup. Make sure it's full with hot coffee because you're going to need it. Heading out the door this morning in the next dozen hours. We're not going to get that much warmer today. As we remove the donuts, you'll see sunshine, but only about 62 for a daytime high. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. Hurricane Ian is on course to hit Florida after making landfall in Cuba as a destructive and deadly storm. Ian strengthened into Category 4 hurricane this morning, just hours before it's forecasted to make landfall somewhere along Florida's southwest coast, which is expected to happen early this afternoon. CBS's Christian Benavides has the latest from Tampa.
As Ian churns towards southwestern Florida, it's already showing its potential for destruction. On Tuesday, it ripped into western Cuba, killing at least 2 people and knocking out power to the entire country. In Key West, flooding soaked the streets, snapped this palm tree in half, and pushed high waters below this home.
There will be catastrophic flooding and life-threatening storm surge on the Gulf Coast region.
Exactly where Ian will crash ashore remains uncertain. Some 2.5 million people in the region were ordered or advised to evacuate ahead of its Florida landfall expected for today.
We always use the adage, you can hide from the wind, but you need to run from that water.
Here in Tampa and across large parts of Florida, people are not only preparing for flooding and winds that could reach 130 miles per hour, but also for widespread power outages. Officials here warn it could take crews days to reach down lines after the storm passes.
Get a generator just in case we do have the hurricane.
Getting some sandbags and maybe some gas cans.
Meanwhile, Ian's outer bands are already likely to blame for spawning several suspected tornadoes that touched down in South Florida, toppling small planes at this Broward County airport. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Tampa, Florida.
Well, as people in Florida escape from the storm before it hits, one woman is finding safety here in the Commonwealth. Jen Springer has called Pinellas County, Florida home since the mid-'80s. But after a phone call from her daughter urging her to evacuate before Hurricane Ian arrives, well, she decided to leave. She packed what she could and is now staying with family in Lexington until the storm passes. She calls some of the items she took with her irreplaceable.
This is a photograph that was done on wood that my daughter gave me for a Christmas present. And it's our family. It's not very easy to see in the light, but it's great to have it. And that was the last picture I grabbed.
Well, thankfully, she was able to make it to Lexington with her travel companion, Rascal, so they could both be safe from the storm. And some Eastern Kentuckians could experience Ian firsthand. Perry County native Chris Hall is with 606 Storm Chasing. He's in Florida right now. He says they wanted to document the storm as it makes landfall. He tells us he saw a lot of traffic heading out of Tampa yesterday, telling us some gas stations no longer have gas and stores, they don't have supplies.
If the Waffle House closes, you need to get out. Actually, two people have told me that. I thought it was a joke until I heard that Waffle House is actually closing tonight.
Well, Hall tells us he booked a hotel for the week, but it closed because hotel staff is evacuating. Today marks 2 months since devastating and deadly flooding hit our area. We've covered countless stories of survival and loss following the disaster, but there's still one group of people who say they have yet to see assistance for their losses. Alyssa Williams has that story.
For Tracy Watts and her son Bryce, this property they rented out was more than just an extra source of income.
It was my trailer because my dad passed away 2 years ago, and he left it to me.
After Watts' dad died, her and her son remodeled the trailer and started renting it out to people, but July's flood destroyed it, leaving it beyond repair.
We've had a few people look at it. They can't save it, but it is a big hit because it was helping me pay my bills as much as it was her. So it's a big loss.
The pair said thankfully the tenant who was living there was able to get reimbursed for some of his belongings, but they have been denied assistance from several disaster relief organizations.
Once they found out I wasn't living in it, they said they couldn't help people that don't live in it, that it's a secondary home. And so you're just out of luck. I tried several times.
Watts says she is in the process of appealing those denials, and in the meantime, she hopes other property owners continue pushing forward to get the help they need.
Well, it's still a great loss, you know, but we need help too. You know, we're not asking you to, you know, go beyond the means of it, but there should be some help out there because you're still losing a home, you know, and eventually I may have gone there, you know, just appeal. You know, that's all you can do.
Bryce Watts says although his grandfather's trailer is gone, he still remains grateful.
Their property's been destroyed a lot more than mine. So I'm just glad that the land is mainly okay. And, you know, it's unfortunate about the trailer, but it could always be worse. So I'm thankful for that.
In Perry County, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Well, Tracy Watts says she and her son are still figuring out their next course of action with the property, but the Watts say they are having issues finding someone to remove the trailer from that area. After July's flooding, many were at their wits' end in the aftermath, then shocked at the help they received, some of it coming from complete strangers. One man in Perry County made sure he kept a good record of the dozens of people who graced his doorstep at his greatest time of need. Eric Shublem took a page from what's found at the front doors of funeral homes. He had each person who helped him sign a book. His goal is to remember all the people he's met, many of them strangers. Now he has 2 months worth of names.
By now I have over 150 names in that book, and that's not counting people who came back many times.
Well, he said helpers came from Mississippi to New York and a lot of places in between. A portion of his home was rebuilt. He says despite 26 inches of water in his house, he and his dogs were able to live inside the home while it was being rebuilt. And the entire hazard water system is under a boil water advisory until further notice. The water system includes most of Perry County. City of Hazard Utilities posted the advisory to Facebook around 3:45 yesterday afternoon. Officials say the advisory is due to required maintenance, and of course once that's lifted we'll let you know. A former Kentucky senator was laid to rest on Tuesday. Bobby Flynn died last week at the age of 95. Flynn was also a councilman in the city of Lexington for many years. He is the father of former pro baseball player Doug Flynn. Some Kentucky voters can now request an absentee ballot for this year's midterm election. They're only available to voters with the qualifying excuse, including age, disability, or for those temporarily living out of the state. The deadline to apply online for an absentee ballot is October 25th. The midterm election is Tuesday, November 8th. You can find a list of valid excuses and to track it of your ballot at govoteky.com.
Cold start to the morning out there as you head out the door this morning. Temperatures in the 30s and 40s. Nowhere even close to 50. Our warmest spot is the National Weather Service office at Jackson at 44. A lot of 30s showing up out there. 36 Clintwood over toward Jonesville and Irvin up in north central Kentucky. 39 in Jacksboro and Hazard. 37 in Williamsburg there this morning. Also 39 Ashland and Moorhead. So a lot of cooler spots. I'd say London Corbin's getting ready to drop into the 30s there as well. A lot of 40s across the region with the exception of Ashland and Hazard. 42 across the river in Cincinnati. 48 in Louisville is one of our warmer spots, and then Paducah at 42. Nashville's at 47. Planner for today, you're going to see temperatures climb only into the low 60s. One of the coolest days we've had so far here in the mountains, and a trend of going up will be around for a couple of days before Hurricane Ian's remnants could make for some cooler air by this weekend. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you so much. Well, coming up next on Mountain News this morning, the CDC makes yet another change to its guidance involving wearing masks to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Stay with us.